really it comes down to this. The guy has done a horrible job at leading the state, and so he needs to be replaced. Hey, what's up? It's Ben here with Triple Cord Real Estate in Boise. Now, I know that you're probably thinking, why is a guy who lives in Idaho meddling with the affairs of California? Now, I work with a ton of Californians. Ask anybody who lives in Idaho, where is everybody who is moving to Idaho coming from? And every single one of them will tell you California. So because I work with so many Californians, I'm interested in knowing why everybody hates California. So in this video, I want to give you my reasons why a solid case can be made for removing Governor Gavin Newsom from office. And I also suspect that some of you who are watching this video are probably interested in other states as well. Some of you are probably living in California. You probably have some grievances against Gavin Newsom. So hopefully this video will give you some insight on the issue. Now, just before I jump into the specifics, let me mention two quick details. Number one, you can recall a governor for breaking the law, or simply because a lot of people do not like how that governor is governing. And that's the case here in California. California is one of the few states where pretty much anybody can start a recall effort campaign. All you need to do is gather enough signature. In California, you need about 12% of the voter turnout from the last election to support a recall campaign. And so what the organizers of this campaign did is they went out and got signatures, and they got way more signatures than they needed. They needed about 1.5 million, and they ended up getting about 2.1 million. So what that says to me is that there's a lot of people in California who are unhappy with the way that Gavin Newsom is governing the state. Now, the main arguments for recalling Governor Gavin Newsom center around a few major categories, one of which is safety. In California, we've seen a huge spike in crime. Homicides are up 31% in 2020. That's the highest that they've been in 13 years. The governor has also released about 76,000 prisoners in 2021 alone, which has contributed to the spike in crime that we've seen. Vehicle thefts are up across the state. They say that every 3 minutes a car is stolen in California. And last year, you'll remember there was those BLM riots all throughout the country. And a lot of Californians are very unhappy with the way that the governor dealt with these riots in California. He basically gave them a free rein to riot and loot and pillage. Drug use is also way up across the state. Fentanyl deaths, for example, went up about 800% since Newsom has come into office in Riverside County, 226% in Santa Clara County. But ask anybody who lives in California what one problem that they've seen explode over the past couple years, and they'll tell you that that is the problem of homelessness. California has 161,000 homeless across the state, more so than any other state. There's about 66,000 homeless in Los Angeles alone. That's the size of Caldwell. About 15% of violent crime is caused by homelessness, and Governor Newsom's policies have just exacerbated this problem. Think about where all these people are using the restroom. If I was a business owner in California, I would lock my restrooms to the public and say, let's say I owned a gas station. I would say, you can use my restroom if you buy my gas. Show me the receipt and I'll give you the key. So because a lot of public restrooms have been closed because there's tent camps and homeless people sleeping everywhere, almost under every overpass and every bridge, people are going to the bathroom in the streets. You see a lot of urinating in the street, you see public nudity, trash all over. Everybody who lives in California has been telling me that this is a problem that they have seen explode since Governor Newsom has come into office. Newsom has also signed a number of controversial bills. One of them is Proposition 47, which allows thieves to commit crimes with practically zero consequences. So hard drugs like meth, heroin, cocaine are now considered misdemeanors rather than felonies. Shoplifting, grand theft auto, forgery, those kind of crimes are no longer felonies either, and they carry with them a maximum penalty of $950. Probably the straw that broke the camel's back, though, is something that happened back in November of 2020. At the height of the pandemic, Gavin Newsom was telling all of the residents of California to stay home, to wear masks pretty much all the time, not to go and engage in any indoor activities, to social distance themselves from people. And after he basically is telling everybody to lock themselves in their homes, Gavin Newsom goes with a whole crowd of people to a luxurious French restaurant called the French Laundry, along with his wife and all of his friends, among which are several really high-ranking health officials. They don't have any masks on, they don't social distance, they're inside a building, contradicting everything that he had just told his constituents just the day before. And so when all these pictures were released to the media, everybody's outraged at the hypocrisy of their governor. He then comes on TV and he says, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Please forgive me. Everybody makes mistakes." Yeah, a little too late, buddy. Like Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. It's not enough simply to say after you're caught in the act, "I'm sorry." In addition to all of that, it's almost impossible to live in California if you're not a millionaire. The top marginal income tax is at about 13.3% in the state. They want to raise it to 16.8%. The sales tax there is 7.5%. There's a 50-cent tax per gallon on gas. The poverty rate is 17% statewide, which is the highest out of all of the states. California also has the largest debt. Last I checked, they were at about $589 billion. Their education is a total mess. Businesses are also fleeing the state left and right. A couple high-profile businesses have recently left. Remember Ben Shapiro fled with his business to Nashville. Joe Rogan just left the state, and the population is shrinking. In the latest census, California has lost 1 congressional seat because their population decreased. Now, on September 14th, all the California residents will receive a ballot that has 2 questions on it. One of the questions will be, do you support recalling Governor Gavin Newsom? And if more than 50% of the people who return their ballot answer yes, then they'll take into consideration the second question on the ballot, which is, who should replace Governor Gavin Newsom? Now, there's a whole long list of candidates. I think there's like 100 and some candidates. But the interesting thing to note here is that the candidates don't have to get a majority of the votes in order to replace the governor. It's whoever gets the most votes. So if more than 50% of the people say yes, recall the governor, whoever gets the most votes will replace the governor within 28 days. You remember in 2003 when Gray Davis was recalled, who, by the way, was only the second governor ever to be recalled in the history of the United States. But when Arnold Schwarzenegger took over from Gray Davis in 2003, he only got 48% of the votes. But because that was more votes than any of the other candidates, he succeeded Gray Davis and became the new governor. So I think a solid case can be made for replacing the current governor. If you ask my opinion, I think Larry Elder is a good candidate. He's a guy that seems to have his head on his shoulders, born and raised in California, kind of a no-nonsense, common sense kind of a guy. I'd throw my hat behind him if I were you. But my encouragement to you is if you live in California, go out there on September 14th, make your voice heard, vote, and maybe you can make a difference and turn the state around before it's too late.